Hey everyone, what we're going to do today is a jig I call the Ultimate Creeper. Early on, this is one of the first jigs I did. It was a simple, I call it a Creeper Jig. It's a really good one to this day. I like using it for cold water purposes. But this one is a newer version, and I sort of did it more for warm water into that transition period in the fall. In the vise, we have a 1/8 ounce Arky style head with a 2/0 owner 5313 jig hook. Now, the color is Magic Craw purple. I know it's hard to see with the lighting. I tried it with the filter and everything else, and you just, for some reason on camera, it's very hard to pick up that purple pearlescence that's in that color, but trust me, it's there. It looks really good. It is weedless. We're using an FG12 weed guard in here, and as you can take notice, there's a little notch, and what I did was I cut that notch before I painted it, so you don't see the raw lead like you do in other jigs that I cut a groove into. This is a better Creeper style jig just because of the head style. This Arky head, it's like a 4-wheel drive type head. It's really good when you want to drag something, grate and brush, rock. The difference between this and say like a ball head, which is again a jack of all trades type deal, is this tends to be better when you want to drag something because it sits flat on the bottom and it keeps everything upright, where with the ball head you can drag it for a little bit, but it'll have a tendency to want to roll on its side depending on the substrate that you hit. So that's why we chose the Arky style head. So without further ado, we're going to start, and we're just going to put a real short base of some 210 denier flat wax nylon. This is olive. And before we do anything, we're going to add a little keeper in here. And I'm just going to take some super glue brush on and go right down the shank to just above the hook point. And we are going to add in a little wire keeper. Now this is a WB 800. This is the larger wire keeper, and what I did was I just cut it down a little bit and put a little bend in it. That helps it. It helps the thread to lock it on in that spot, and then when you tie it tight with the glue on the shank of the hook, it stays put. You'll never have to worry about it coming off. So now that I have it in place where I want it, I really lash it down. So now the hardest part of this jig is over. So we're going to add some hair. And don't get upset that you don't see anything extending past the bend of the hook, because this jig, when I originally did it, it's meant to have a trailer on it. So being that we're using the Magic Craw purple, we're going to use some purple, and this is cross-cut rabbit zonkers. I'm just going to start that just above that barb, and we're not going to put a lot on. Like 1.5 wraps, just to get that purple color in there. Get it nice and tight. And get it off. I like breaking, just cutting the leather and then pulling it apart to keep that hair in place. If you square cut it, you lose some of that hair on the end. It doesn't make a big difference on the cross-cut material, but on regular cut zonkers, you'll ruin it. So we're going to take some olive variant cross-cut zonker strip, and we are going to make a few wraps with this. Again, it's not a lot. Basically 2.5 wraps and we're done. And as I told you, it doesn't look like much, but it's actually a really good pattern. You got tough conditions. You don't want to use a Ned rig right off the bat. This is the jig you want to be using. So I'm going to move the thread up into this little notch here. And the first thing I'm going to do is, this is glitter scale June bug silicone skirt material. And where I want this, the bottom of the skirt to come to, is just about the end of the hair. Don't forget I have this solid piece, so that's going to have to be cut. So you got to factor that into your length. Make a simple wrap. I have to make a second one to hold that hair, that silicone in place. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to loop this around. There we go. Now I'm just going to make sure all our material is distributed properly. Tighten it just a little bit. Now I'm going to take 2 strands that are long, and I'm leaving long. I'll put that on one side, and I'll take 2 more and do the other side. And remember, these are just loose wraps for right now. And once I have those side pieces, and I'm going to hold it tight, and I'm going to pull down. And the reason I'm holding this down is so the material doesn't roll around to different spots. It stays put. And now it's just simply making a collar. And we are done. Now it's just a simple whip finish. One, use my material clip. 2, 3, 4. Cinch it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And chop it off. Being careful not to get the silicone. Now, these long ones, I'm going to cut about 2 inches behind the bend of the hook. And these ones here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm going to cut just a little bit below where it's fused together. There we go. That gives us that spider-like cut. And we'll cut off our fused bottom pieces here of silicone. Just where we can free the legs up. Now we're almost done. We're going to take it out of the vise, and we're going to add our weed guard and get some Loctite super glue gel. Put a little bit in there. Don't need a lot. If you push it in and it oozes out. You got a little bit too much in there. Okay, our weed guard is in. Like I said, this isn't going to look like much until we get the trailer put on. And we're going to use a green pumpkin purple net bait pocket chunk. Pull our hair back and get it up over our barb. Now, I'll show you what we have once I get the silicone here straightened out. That is our ultimate creeper. That's kind of what you're going to get on the bottom. But that is our profile. That hair in the water is going to continuously move. You're going to get movement from this longer strands of skirt material. You're going to get some bounce out here with this. It's going to help it as you're dragging it along the bottom. It's a really, really good pattern. It surprised me when I first did it with the regular creeper, but this updated using the small Arky head, a little bit less rabbit fur, and then adding the silicone. Tell me that profile doesn't look sweet. Anyway, give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.